Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. My name is Ryan Morris. I'm here with your host, Nick Smith. Man, we're excited to come to you with another episode of Wake Up with Giants. You can see one moving around in the background there, getting the lighting right. He's primed and ready to go this morning, and we're excited to have him. Nick, will you introduce our guest today?
Absolutely. We got with us Clint McInnes. Clint's the father of 3 awesome kids, and then he got married just recently to a woman who has 3 kids of her own. So he says they together became kind of a modern day Brady Bunch, only way more rad. I like that. So Clint's a tattoo artist at 27 Tattoo Studio in Salt Lake City. And he and his wife every twice a week run a show called Radness Talks, where they teach people how to better their lives for themselves. I kind of like your platform because you've got people held hostage as well in your chair. And so you can tell them whatever you want. So we just want to welcome you to the show. Thanks for being on, man.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's an honor to be here. I'm stoked to sit down with you guys and chat for a little while.
We're excited that somebody else with a big forehead came on.
Hey, man, it's a good hairstyle.
I think women should do this too.
Hair. Yeah.
Don't you think women should sport the bald look as well? And everybody.
For a while.
Yeah. Or pull the hair around as a beard, something. Well, we're going to, in this show, our goal is to really explore your story and your journey as far as how you got to where you are, why you chose it, what your life was like, and where you really woke up. So, in the past, we've talked about upbringing. We might talk about that with you a little bit. What was life like growing up? In fact, let's start there. What was it like growing up for you?
Oh, man, it definitely was not what the usual what you would picture in your head to be a tattoo artist nowadays. I actually grew up on a farm in small town Utah of Tooele, and we raised cows. We raised beef, so we worked the farm every day. And I grew up with my grandparents, and we literally worked the fields every day to feed about 450 head of cows at the highest, and it was just a small family-owned, family-run operation. But we grew up on a farm and just worked our butts off every day.
Was it an environment that was good for what you're doing today? Did it kind of help guide you that way, or was it totally different from what you're doing?
It's definitely a huge gap between what I do today and farm work. Although it did teach me a crazy good work ethic. That's something that's always stuck with me through everything that I've ever done. I've only been a tattoo artist for about 4.5, 5 years, full time now. And I've had a lot of other jobs, but nothing quite like tattooing. It was always very mechanically minded, working with my hands, very hard brute force work. And then switching over to tattooing was definitely a huge jump for me.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Why did you choose this path?
I actually don't know the origination of that. I hate to tell people, but it was actually out of arrogance. I had gotten a couple of tattoos, and I know that makes it sound very weird, but let me explain myself before we get too far on that. I had gotten a couple of tattoos, and I always grew up doing art in my spare time. I would actually even fail classes in high school because I was too busy drawing and not busy learning math. So I did end up passing high school altogether. Don't worry about that. Just had to redo classes here and there. But growing up doing art, I got a couple of tattoos in my mid to early 20s, and I looked at a couple of them and I thought, man, I feel like I could do better than that guy. And that kind of sparked my interest of maybe I want to try tattooing for a little while. And it wasn't something that struck me as like, hey, I'm going to make a switch and I'm going to tattoo full time. That wasn't a concern in my head at that time. It was, I want to bring in a little bit of extra income and see how tattooing is for me. And so I started down that path, and I did it part-time for 3 or 4 years before I actually made the switch to full time. When I realized I could make the switch to full time, was a different thing altogether. And I set up a series of goals that I had to hit before I could go full time, because switching any job to being self-employed with children is rather scary and a little bit tough at sometimes. You don't want to just make the jump recklessly, and you want to make sure that your bases are covered. And that was a big thing for me, is making sure that my kids never went without while I was making this huge life transition.
Man, I've gone through that. So
Clint,
when
it's
I
weird. It's like, oh,
go ahead.
you're good. Keep
So
going.
when I about 10 years ago, I jumped out into coaching, and I jumped all into it. And it was one of those cases where it really hurt my family to do that. And I think a lot of people with their dreams, they think, man, I want to just jump into something and do it. But having that foundation is important. You know, you don't have to recklessly just jump in. And I like that. I like that. No, Ryan, what were you going to say on that?
I was gonna make more of a joke. It sounded like our path was very, very similar. Like we didn't pay attention in school, you know. We just doodled on paper. The difference is that you turned out to be a better artist than I did. That was this kind of stuff that I did.
Hey, we all started somewhere.
We were the samesies for a long time, and then
that looked like the KFC guy. His little bow tie, his legs.
That's what it was supposed to be. Yeah,
that's funny.
Colonel Sanders killed it, man. I knew it right off the bat.
What I love about what you're sharing is that being a giant doesn't have to look one particular way. You don't have to be like this motivational speaker. You can be a tattoo artist. You could be just good at anything that you choose to do. And I love that you transitioned out of what you were doing and eased over into what you'd like to be doing. And I think that's a message that a lot of people could benefit from.
I do too. And the great thing about what I do now is it gives me the opportunity every single day I get to sit down and have a face-to-face conversation with people. And these are people from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life. And you see all of these different viewpoints every single day, and it gives you more perspective on where everybody's at in their life and why things are the way they are for that person in their life. And so that's probably one of my favorite things about my job now. It isn't necessarily the tattoos or the environment that I get to make every day. It's sitting down and chatting with someone for 1 to 4 hours at a time. And some of those people come and see me twice a month. And then I have people that I've only seen once in my career, and that's okay too. It's a matter of, I get to have those good conversations, and it opens me up so much more to perspective of life that I haven't ever seen.
Yeah, perfect. I've got your website, your Instagram running across the bottom here, so people can see your artwork. We lost Ryan there for a minute, but that's kind of how this show goes. We'll get him back on. There you are, buddy. So yeah, if we don't have technical issues, there's something wrong with our show.
Oh man.
Right.
At least it's not my fault.
Oh yeah, we do it on purpose just to make it interesting.
As people comment, I'm gonna share these too. You know, there's a lot of people that watch this show kind of from the sidelines, and we love their comments because sometimes it brings up stuff that we can talk about. You know, it's just really, you picked a career. I love artwork. You know, I've got some artwork here. My daughter is kind of like you. She just doodles on everything. She's just an amazing artist. And I think one day she'll probably end up being a tattoo artist as well. And so if you need somebody to train, she would be awesome. An apprentice.
I don't know that I would be the best teacher, but I'll point her in the right direction.
That would be awesome.
That's what you need in life. You need those types of coaches, right? To kind of guide you. They might not be able to be working with you one-on-one permanently, but to swallow your pride a little bit and just ask somebody that's already been there, done that, can save you so much time down the road.
Definitely.
Did you have mentors?
As far as tattooing goes?
Yeah,
definitely. And I still do even to this day.
Okay.
Actually more so today than ever. I I did start out as an apprentice. The guy who apprenticed me was not necessarily the best teacher by any means. And so I had to branch out myself and go and find people that would help teach me better. And one of the guys that helped teach me better when I was earlier on is still one of my best friends to this day. We talk 3 or 4 times a week constantly, and we're always bouncing ideas off of each other and moving forward as much as we can. He's still a tattoo artist also, and lives here in Tooele also. But yeah, as I went throughout my career, my mentors have changed quite drastically, going from like not knowing what I'm doing and asking all the wrong questions all the time. And then here we are some years later, 5 years full time, and I'm in the absolute best shop in all of Utah. I work with the most amazing artists, seriously, in all of Utah, like hands down. That's not like me trying to blow smoke at all. These guys are amazing, and every single one of them has something to teach me. And that's the coolest thing, is I get to work with 12 guys that can teach me something every single day. And so it's nonstop growth and pushing forward at this point.
I like capturing these nuggets that you're saying. You know, I've had people that I don't see as people that are like writing best-selling books or anything like that. They're not making an impact in that way, but they are making an impact. And I'll just sit across from somebody like you and just have a conversation with them. And in that conversation, they'll share a nugget. And I'm like, wow, man, that changed my life right there. I'd imagine that in that chair, as you're tattooing somebody, that you've heard some information from them that just was impactful in your life. Is that true?
Yeah, all the time. And that's kind of what led us to start our Radness talks.
Yeah.
During quarantine, I kind of sat back. We got shut down for tattooing for a month. And I sat back and I thought to myself, you know, I'm kind of like a Lamborghini dealership at this point. I'm very non-essential to society. And that kind of gave me a little reality check. And I said, what am I doing to actually help society besides drawing on people? Yes, I'm having these conversations one-on-one with people every day, but how can I reach out and touch a few more lives? And what can I do? And I knew that one area that I really excel in is mentality. And my wife does also. So we sat down and kind of formulated a plan. And I think the first one was kind of a really offhand. And by the end of it, it was one of those things of, yeah, we're going to be back. We're going to do this on Sunday and go from there. So it was kind of cool to see that. But the talks that you get to sit down and have with people, they always give you a little bit more insight. And we'll have people message us about our Radness talks and bring up stuff in their life. And then we get to riff off of that one-on-one, and it brings up so many more conversations that way.
Yeah, man, you've got some great comments coming in too. You know, there's always somebody that has something to teach us if we're open to it. You know, we just got to open up our hearts to hear it.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes, you know, there were times in my life where I was like, I know as much as I need to know, which is arrogance at its purest form, right? And so I've had some humbling experiences that show me I don't know jack shit. Like, right. Yeah. I got to keep growing.
Yeah.
And so language, we don't get to beep this out. So I'm just going to talk how I talk.
hey, man, you hear quite a bit of language on our Radness talks, so don't even worry about that.
Perfect. And how do people find those shows?
They're actually just on our personal Facebooks. Both my wife and I just do a Facebook Live, and it goes straight to our Facebook. And it stays recorded on our Facebook. We are going to be transitioning to putting them on YouTube and stuff like that. I just haven't done it yet because, you know, life.
Yeah. That's all good. We know how that goes. So let's dive into your mindset. You know, let's dive into some of your best teachings or some of the most powerful, impactful lessons that you've learned through your life. And so the first thing that I want to touch on, though, is were you clear on this path when you stepped onto it? Did you know where you were going?
As for which path, man? I mean, there's so many.
Yeah. Pick one. So the tattooing or the Radness talks. Did you have a clear plan as far as how they would go?
No, I'm a terrible planner, actually. I don't really plan that much out. You can ask my wife. I plan about 30 seconds in advance, and then we shoot from the hip and we go. My wife is very much a planner and needs every little bit of that.
And you give her a 30-second head start. You're like, look, I got 30 seconds, ready, go, plan.
Yeah. And it's not my fault that you don't have ADD and you're not 20 steps ahead of me. Come on.
Yeah, right.
So I don't really plan a whole lot. What happens is I end up coming up with, and even let's go back to tattooing. I didn't plan on making that jump to full-time tattooing and controlling my life like I do today. I stepped into it thinking I need to make a little bit more money for my kids because I'm not really doing it the right way right now. How can I do that in my spare time when I don't have my kids around me? And that to me, I'm going to start to learn how to tattoo. And so I did that. And then a couple of years went by and I thought, I'm almost making what I'm making full time and I'm very part-time in this. So let's make this a dream. But it always takes me taking the first step first.
I like that.
I don't write anything down. I don't plan anything. I'm one of those people that's already walking and then I'm like, oh, maybe I should do this. And so I'm not that good at planning, but I'm really good at executing some made up plan that I had 25 seconds ago. And,
oh, sorry. I was just going to say what's interesting about that is the universe is a funny thing. It likes movement.
Exactly.
And so you know what? It'll roll with whatever you do. It's a funny thing. It's like a garden. You can plant whatever you want in that garden. And you can water it and you could do the normal care. The earth doesn't care what you put in it. It will produce whatever you plant in equal abundance. And so doing that, going with it and moving forward, taking it one step at a time. We talked about last week about taking small chunks.
Yep.
And sometimes you can't see, you can't make that plan for 30 years down the road and plan out your life like your wife and my wife do. I don't do that either. I'm kind of last Nick. I'm fly by the seat of my pants, throw a bunch of shit on the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And then, some of it smears off and some of it stays up there and you just go. But it's funny what does end up sticking because of the movement, because of what you're doing.
Yeah. Definitely. You can plan out your garden all you want. You can write down what plants need to be what next to other plants and all of this stuff, but it doesn't matter if you don't take the steps and actually plant those seeds.
It doesn't. I used to get so frustrated in sales. There were guys that kind of shot from the hip, and I was thinking, oh, I'm a planner. I've got this all planned out, and they were doing better than I was in sales. And I would get so frustrated. I'm like, I got this plan, I got this system and all these tools and everything. And they're shooting from the hip and killing it, and I don't think there's one way to do it because I was moderately successful. They were moderately successful, but they were two different systems.
He's being moderately modest. He was very successful.
But there's something to be said because I think, people hold back because they don't have a clear plan. And I don't think having a clear path, I mean, you look at the story of the Giants and the Smalls, when Rit steps out on the path, he has no clear plan. All he knows is, I want to go to the land of the Giants, right? Yeah. And I hear your story, and Clint, you're saying, I want to go to the land of tattoo artists and learn how to do that. And there's no clear plan, but you know what you're going to do, and you just take it one step at a time. And I love that.
Yeah. Even 4.5, 5 years ago, when I made the switch to full time, I never thought that I would be at the shop that I'm at now. Like I said, best shop in Utah, hands down. I never once thought that I would be there, but I took those steps and I worked on everything that I could, every chance that I could, and I didn't even put that was a goal, but it was way up there, something you like the top of the mountain. And you have to concentrate on your steps while you're walking. You can't concentrate on the top of the mountain or else you're going to trip. And it was one of those things, like, it is what it is. And that might be where I'm going, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get there. I'm just going to concentrate on these steps right here.
What is the tattoo shop that you work at?
27 Tattoo.
Okay, 27 tattoo. So all of you at home that are terrible at doodling and want to put your terrible doodle on your shoulder, or on your like you could get the tattoo that Nick has on his lower back. You get that same tattoo.
It says Ryan. I didn't know what else to get.
Hey, I'm famous somewhere.
Yeah, right. The idea of concentrating on the step that's in front of you, because the reality is we don't know if we're even going to be here tomorrow. I did a post yesterday, I think. I don't remember. The other day is like probably an hour ago for me.
That's how
content. But we don't have a guarantee that there's a tomorrow. And we don't have a guarantee that we're going to get to the top of the mountain. But the thing, I was listening to a book and he was talking about happiness. And he said, why happiness is fleeting? He said, if it wasn't, let's say that, back in the past in the Stone Ages, and they kill an elephant and they were permanently happy for the rest of their lives, they'd never kill another elephant because they gained happiness. And so what happiness does is it shows us this sense that's temporary of success, but it goes away so that we'll be motivated to go back out there and create again. Otherwise, we'd sit on our asses and do nothing. And so happiness needs to be fleeting for our sake. And I love that idea. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I fully agree. It comes at different ways too, because sometimes you're happy in one regard of life, but you're unhappy in another. So you're working on that one, but then you let the other one slip to the wayside. So you constantly have to be moving and adapting and looking for these new things to make that next step and to make it to the next level of life. And the levels of life are kind of what I love, because I'm at this level now where I look around and I see how my kids are looking up to my life, and I see how my wife is changing her life. And I rhyme all of these words while I'm talking to you guys on purpose.
So we can make a rap song later.
Yeah.
I love it.
Can somebody get me a beat, please? Yeah. No, don't, because I'll mess this up immediately.
Ryan, I think that's your department, man. Let's hear it.
I see how my life now affects the lives around me, especially my children and my wife that are very close to me. And I see my friends changing their lives because, and I'm not meaning to sound in an arrogant manner, but they've literally told me because I have changed my life, they want to change theirs, and how can they better do those things? And so I sit back and I'm like, man, like I have to keep going, because I can't stop here. If I stop here on this level of life, even though I'm extremely happy right here, one, my wife's going to pass me up, and I'm very competitive, so I'm not going to allow her to pass me up. But I feel like everything else would catch me if I stopped working on those things. So I continue working on those things and showing my friends and my wife and my kids how to continually grow.
When you mentioned that you don't want to sound arrogant, right? We do that socially, wanting people to accept us. We say things like, I don't want to sound arrogant, and here's what I accomplished. And the truth is that the celebration of those wins is what anchors in that lesson so that we can grow. And we should celebrate our wins. And it's not arrogance. It's, hey, I did this. I accomplished this. And you can do it too.
And the cool thing is that all your, a bunch of your friends and your family can see that growth, and they have a paradigm or a limit of belief. And once they see somebody that maybe they saw as an equal or something like that break through and get to another level, you talked about levels. It's interesting because what happens is their belief, I don't know, their belief bandwidth expands. They could go to gig type of bandwidth, and they can see, holy crap, look at Clint. If Clint can do that, I can do that, or maybe I can attain some sort of level of what Clint did. And that's awesome, because you need that in life. You need to see somebody else succeed to go, hey, that is possible. Nick talks about it all the time in the what was it? How fast was the mile ran, Nick? You talk about this
Oh,
all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
That 4
Roger
minute mile.
Bannister, the 4 minute mile. It took 70 years to break the 4 minute mile.
Yeah.
70 years. And in the past, what is it? 50 years. I think in the past 50 years, they've only shaved off 17 seconds from that record. And so, yeah, I mean, what
But
seems
it took
impossible.
one guy to hit it.
Yep. Keep going.
Yeah, it took one guy to hit that and to go, oh my gosh. And everyone was like, hey, this can't be done. It can't be done. You know, it's impossible. You know, this is the fastest we'll ever run in human history. And then all of a sudden, bam, one guy does it. And it opens up the doors, and people now train to take off milliseconds off of that. They train their whole lives to take off just a little teeny bit, but they know it's possible. They know if they train harder, if they shave their chest hair, or do something amazing. That's what I did. I said I'm gonna beat that 4 minute mile one hair at a time.
You got to be more aerodynamic now.
Yes.
I got to write that down. One hair at a time, man.
Yeah, one hair at a time. Hey, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. And
That's
the
best
for
lesson.
Here, it grows. I lose it here, and I gain it. I lose it here, and it like just sprouts out this way. It looks like you have the same problem too.
Yeah, definitely.
It falls down. It's like
gravity is a real thing.
Yeah. It's awesome to see that you have people kind of put people who have succeeded up on these pedestals, and then you start to meet these people and you're like, oh, they're just regular people, but they've went out and done something more. And so to show people that little bit more from myself, who is a regular person just like you two, just went out and done a little bit more. We're still a regular person.
Yeah.
We just wanted something, and we went out and we actually got after it and did it. And to show people that you're a regular person, you can go and do anything you want to do. There's literally nothing stopping you because you're the exact same as me.
I love
that. The only thing that's stopping you is kind of right up in here, right? Is your mind and your belief pattern. The other thing I caught on to too, Clint, that I thought was pretty exciting as a parent, is that your kids are watching you. Sometimes you don't think they are. You think they're watching the old Chromebook or their phones or whatever they have a hold of, their iPad.
Yep.
And that they're not listening, they're not paying attention. They're watching. They want to have stability. They want to have ground rules. They want to have somebody that they can look up to. That's not just a LeBron James or a Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace. Some the superstars sometimes are at the forefront, but you could be a superstar for your kids, and show them what was reality, but also what can be possible, and you can support their dreams. And you're doing that. That's pretty dang awesome.
Yeah. It's something that I never really put all that much thought into until the last couple of months. And my daughter and I are pretty close. She's probably one of my best friends, and she just turned 13 a little while ago. And I didn't really stack too much weight on my life because I just figured I was a tattoo artist. I'm going to work. I'm doing my radness talks and trying to help other people. And then I pick up on my daughter trying to kind of emulate that. And what actually made me notice that was her and I were playing a game together, and her screen name was Radness Kid. And
I love
that,
it.
like, struck a chord as a dad. I was like, oh man, she's like trying to be like me. I need to act a whole lot better all the time. Oh man, like there's a lot of pressure. But it also, like, she's looking at that all the time. It's not that every once in a while she's seeing that. She sees me live my life every single day, and that's what she wants to change in her life is to live that, because she knows that we don't take the word radness lightly, even though it did start out as a joke. We don't take that lightly anymore, and it's now something that you kind of have to earn. It's not something that we just bestow upon people, and it's taken very seriously in our household. regardless of it sounding like a joke at first.
Well, that's you're hitting on the story now, because the whole purpose of the story of the book is that we have to earn the things that we want in our lives. They're not just a given. And so when you start to live into your life, you set an example, in a sense, for others to do the same. It's not like you need to go out there and save them. They need to do that for themselves. But your experience and your example is kind of what gets them on that path. And so, like in the story, Rit the small didn't become a giant because Remy the giant handed it to him. He went out there and sweated and cried and worked, and all these things to become a giant, just like you're teaching your kids. That's what I wanted to teach my kids with this book. So
I'm a firm believer in you need to earn your reputation every single day. If you want to be known as the hardest worker in the room, then you need to earn that every single day. If you want to be known as the fastest person, you need to earn that every single day. You can't let that down, because somebody else is going to overtake that. And so whatever you want to be known for, go out and earn that reputation every single day.
I love that. You know what? It was, I picked up a little bit earlier too, is you're in a spot too where you had a decision to make. You were in this position where, look, no more tattoos were happening for at least 30 days, or it was an unknown. You had a life choice to make, and you started down the radness path, right?
I love it.
And then you weren't small anymore, but you weren't quite the giant but you wanted. You started kind of figuring out where you wanted to go and what you wanted to become 30 seconds at a time from the hip, right? And then, but now you're kind of in this spot where you're not a small and you're not quite the level that you want to be. You're right in between, but now you can't, you're worried about, I can't slip, I can't go backwards. I'm not a small anymore. Now I know that I can achieve things and I can get to where I want to be. And I got people watching me. So I don't want to screw up. I got my kids looking at me. So now you got to move forward, and you got to keep adjusting and then break through the next barrier, the next level, keep leveling up. Right.
Yep. 100%. And that's what it comes down to is you realize that you're not at that level anymore, and you can't play at that level. I've been around for 36 years now. I don't consider this my 36th year or my 36th level by any means, because I think for a long time I didn't even realize that there was levels. I thought that you just kind of happened in life. So I'm on like level 5 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that level 5 Clint.
That's yeah.
Hey, let me ask you another question too. So as you started out, was your path, in the radness stuff, getting into the radness stuff? Because I'm sure that the tattoos at first, getting involved and deciding to dive in, we talked about, was a little bit nerve-wracking, maybe a little bit scary and a little unknown. Terrifying. Yeah. Was the same? Did you have similar feelings as you started? Was your first episode of the Radness Talks as good as the next and the next and the next? The first one was probably a little bit, probably a little scary, a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's kind of like jumping out of a plane for the first time. You don't know what to expect, and you're kind of like, oh man, now I'm being thrown towards the earth at 130 miles an hour, and I don't know what to do.
Did you have a chute on? Like that would be
right. Yeah, it was definitely with a chute.
Now with your Radness Talks, how is it now compared to at the beginning?
It's very much that way. We're very, there are some things we're still working out. If you watch the first 30 seconds of any Radness Talk, you'll realize we have no idea what we're doing, because we're like, yeah, it's Wednesday. We're going to talk about a couple things real quick, and this is Radness Talk, and we have no idea how to open the show or any of that stuff. But we're taking those steps, and we're getting out and doing those things. Yeah. It doesn't have to be perfect for us to take those steps, but we continually get better when we put that work in. And you can definitely tell a difference between our last Radness Talks and our first ones. So your ability level has increased, right? You leveled up. And so
knowing, hey, like I might not know exactly. I mean, me and Nick don't always know. We have an outline, a little bit of, hey, what we want to ask or what we want to talk about, just so there's a little bit of a flow.
We do.
Quite.
What?
I became the more responsible outline, planning one. Really? Nobody's gonna believe that, Nick.
Yeah, no.
But we really don't know. Like, we just kind of go with it and go with the flow, and listen to like what the Giants have to say, but direct the conversation a little bit. But you know what? We're shooting from the hip sometimes too.
Yeah.
And our shows are probably a little bit better than they were at the beginning. I still stutter and don't know what I'm gonna really say sometimes, and just keep rambling on. And
slightly like a car, so I mean,
yeah, this is my recording studio. It's called the Avenger Recording Studio. It's about the only place that I could find peace and quiet, and you know what? It works.
Yeah.
The Avenger. I was thinking the Avengers, like the superheroes.
That was what I thought.
Yeah.
This whole recording studio doesn't cost much, folks.
It's
high dollar.
Carrie just said something here too. Her dad.
Got a cooler in here even.
I'm going to share this real quick, and then we'll jump back on. I love like the taking it off course and bringing it back, dude. I love it. Carrie, her dad taught her to, you can do anything as well, but he had a job. He was a professional wrestler, and maybe we'll talk about that later as well. But the truth is that you can have a full-time job. Ryan and I have full-time jobs. I'm doing this in my studio, AKA my master. Yeah. Say that again.
I said, that sounds terrible to have a full-time job.
No, I work part-time in my full-time job. Don't tell my boss. Sorry, Mike and Levi.
He's watching right now. No, but it provides that foundation, and you need that. I need that security. Not everybody does. There's some people that can jump right in and go, and they do really well with that. I don't. I shut down when I get nervous and scared about my finances. My brain shuts off, and I don't perform as well. So having that foundation is important to move forward.
You're the exact opposite of me. When I get nervous about those things, I absolutely just push forward with everything that I have. My wife, we've been together for about 4 years now, and she has watched me through certain times of this. Like, mind you, she met me when I was maybe 6 or 8 months deep into tattooing full time. She's known me through even the last year. There was times when I'm like, hey, the house payment's due on Friday, and I don't have any appointments this week, so I don't really know how we're going to pay it. And in her mind, she's like, oh, she's like you, like, oh man, what do I do? What do we do here? And I'm like, don't worry about it. I've got it somehow. And she's like, what are you going to do? I'm just going to go to work. I'll just figure it out. Don't worry about it. And the house payment always got paid. I've never been late on a house payment through every bit of tattooing full time. And
I bet you don't have as much anxiety as she and I do.
I don't have any anxiety. That's the problem.
I love it.
This is what led me to jump out of planes. Is I don't have any anxiety. I need to.
You did jump out of planes.
Yes, I've jumped out of planes quite a few times.
I thought that was a metaphor.
No, yeah. I mean, it can be used as a metaphor, but that's a literal thing too.
Nick reads people's minds. He knew you'd already jumped out of planes.
Yeah.
In fact, I was typing this before you said that.
I'm sorry that I beat you to the punch on that. On this,
it's the shooting from the hip. He's just too quick.
Yeah.
It just comes with that psychology degree. They teach you how to read minds. It gets overwhelming though, just knowing everybody's thoughts.
I bet.
Be careful, ladies. He knows what you're thinking.
It is an odd thing to watch how differently everybody reacts to that little bit of anxiety and that little bit of stress. It's something that really just makes me put my head down and go forward. And sometimes I put my head down really far, and I'm like to the point where I'm doubled over. And you know how you have to kind of walk faster at that point to keep up the speed before you tip over. That's how I
like that. Some of that stress and anxiety or that pressure, like that. I perform under pressure too. Like I don't fall apart. I just I just get more committed, more focused, more determined, and it usually works out.
Yeah.
You see that what mark on Ryan's shoulder? That's where I cry on his shoulder when I'm losing my shit, and he's got it all together.
It's okay, buddy. You guys can cry on my shoulder, whatever you need. It's cool.
There's something about that, though. A lot of people watching the show have anxiety, and anxiety comes from trying to control the future. And here you are, you're not thinking about the future. You're thinking 30 seconds ahead.
Yeah.
So it's like the future is pretty short for me.
Future-ish.
Future-ish.
Yeah.
So I can see how that not worrying about controlling the future, just working on what you can work on now is so valuable to overcoming anxiety.
Yeah, there are perks to having ADD, I promise.
And with ADD, ADHD, you kind of see the world like, boom, everything comes out. You can see everything that's happening and flowing. And so, the ADD is a superpower, right? Guilty.
If
I
you
feel
use
like that's my
effectively and don't let it overwhelm you, that's
right.
There's a big difference there.
You have to learn how to focus in the right area.
Definitely.
and then go attack it. So that's awesome.
This reminds me of what Brett Borg said in his interview about our mental illness being a superpower. Whether it's depression or ADD, it's like we have this overinflated area of our lives that other people don't experience. But instead of looking at it as a disability, you look at it as a superpower. Like you're having ADD and looking 30 seconds ahead, to me, to somebody that's a planner, is like, man, I'm envious of that. What would it be like to not think so far into the future?
It would stress you out. My wife already can attest to that. She's very much like you, so it's definitely something else. But it's just different things, and there's certain strengths to doing what you do, and handling it like you do. So don't discount that and think,
right.
Well, I need to live it like Clint does either.
Right.
It's a matter of using what strengths you already have and building upon those things.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I'm going to do this. You guys keep talking. I'm going to jump off studio / my bedroom and go grab a book and bring it back so that we can show that too as part of this.
I'm going to go get some breakfast. You guys talk. Now, Clint,
Ryan,
Clint.
That's where I went.
Now we got this show, Clint. You and I. What's going to happen 30
All
seconds
right.
from now? We don't know.
Yeah.
This could go way off the rails, Clint, but so I like the personalities. So you mentioned using what you have and building upon that strength. My wife is very what I do gives her tons of anxiety. I'm a stacker. If there's a flat surface, it's flat, but it has stuff on it, so it's unflat now. Yep. Because I go and just put stuff everywhere, and I know exactly where that thing is at. But my wife is like, She asked me the other day. I'm sorry if she might be watching this. Hi, honey. She asked me if we could hire a professional organizer, and I was like, everything is organized in our house. I-26. Yeah. We call her 26 because there's a narcissistic. You talk about levels. There's a narcissistic test you can take, and I think the highest was 30. And,
40. It was 30. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Her score was high. Let's put it that way.
All right.
And she's not a mean narcissist. She just knows that she's pretty damn good at a lot of things. And organizing is one of them. Not making piles is one of them.
Yeah.
Telling me that my piles suck is one of them.
She's a nice narcissist.
Yeah, she's great. And she's very compassionate to me about. She'll tell me nicely that my piles have gotten out of control. Like all of a sudden they'll be in a pile, in a tote, in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can use those skills and abilities, whatever you have. If you don't have ADHD, that's okay. You can get there someday. You can be like Clint and I someday. But but I'm just kidding. But you can use whatever it is that you have, whatever fears and whatever things that you think are a disability. You can turn that disability or that weakness into a strength. You can do what we do.
Well, it's all in how you view it. If you view it as a weakness, it's definitely going to be a weakness. If you view it as something that you can play off of and make into a strength, you can make it into a strength.
Here you go. There's
I
a
lo-
nugget. Write that down, Nick.
Say that again.
He wasn't even listening.
I,
You didn't ask me to say it again because I wasn't even paying attention to myself. Come on, man. If you think of things as a weakness, they're going to be a weakness. If you think of things as a possible strength, you can turn them into a strength and use them that way.
It's all how you view it, your mentality.
Definitely.
Excellent. Was that a lot to write down at one point?
you know what? I could type pretty fast. I single finger type really fast.
He does it really fast.
I am a fast pecker.
Wow.
Search and destroy. But this is a family show, by the way.
Kinda.
Clint, I can't believe you said
Not
that.
anymore. Yeah.
No,
It's okay. It's okay to be a pecker. You can be a pecker and still succeed.
It reminds me of Surf's Up, right? Okay, Peckerhead. Pecker face. Anyway, excuse me. I'm sorry. We might have to go back and delete this out.
Sorry, guys.
Apologies in advance.
Up when you record them.
I know what goes on in your mind, Amy Bingham. I do. I saw your GIF.
Hey, we're all human, you know, and celebrate being human, because part of being human is we have thoughts like that, and we get off track and we say funny stuff. So why not? So yeah, look at your strengths or your weaknesses as a strength, and they're going to become strengths for you. And that's so important. You know, each of us, I got into the mindset of thinking of my anxiety, or that anxiety. I don't want to call it mine anymore, because I don't want to identify as that, but calling that anxiety a weakness. And the truth is that anxiety has helped me to grow into the person I am today, because without it, I wouldn't have gone through the suffering that caused me to wake up, that caused me to change my behaviors, that caused me to show up like this today, without that anxiety. So
exactly.
Thank you for that. Right.
And I, you know, like Nick and I are business partners, and we're pretty polar opposite in a lot of regards. But because of those things, we bond together. It's a magnetic type of a thing that happens. And I can see, you know, where my weaknesses are, you know, and look at it and go, hey, whoa, okay. And then look at where Nick's at. And it's funny, because it'll help us see both sides. It'll help us see both sides, where it actually then will strengthen what we're doing, whatever we're doing, because we see both sides. There's less of a blind side, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, I let my wife look at both sides, because I don't have time for that. So she does that.
Yeah, she's really good at analyzing, right? My wife is an analyst.
Yeah.
She should work for like ESPN or something like that. She'd be a really good analyst.
No, I see things in systems. I see things in processes. And so having Ryan to balance that out, he's okay. I mean this in the most loving way. He's a little chaotic, but in a good way, man. It's like, I need that in my life, because I'm so damn serious all the time that he lightens me up. And so as business partners, it works out perfect, because you know, he's got some amazing ideas that he sees from a perspective that I don't see, because I get so focused.
Yeah.
And so I need that.
But we need the analytical side to keep us on track, because if not, then we're off chasing butterflies and picking dandelions.
How do you know what I do on the weekend?
I do the same thing.
You read minds too?
Well, we're coming up on the end of the show, but I want to hit back. If you were to go back in time and talk to yourself and really just have a moment to sit with you before everything, what would you share with yourself? What kind of advice would you give?
Oh man, the best advice I ever heard was shortened down to 2 words, and it's life-changing if you actually think about it in the context that I think about it. The 2 words are simply get better. And what that means is, let me tell you the context of how I heard these things too. There was a world-renowned tattoo artist that I went and watched his seminar, and watching him speak, and he said, you know, I have people come up to me and hand me their portfolios, and they say, hey, how do you, like, view my tattoos, and he wouldn't even open them, and he would hand them back and he'd say, "Get better." And we all know what areas we struggle in if we actually look, and we all know what areas that we need to work on. And so everything, literally every single thing in our life, can be shortened down to get better. If you're struggling with, hey, I go, and when I go out to eat, I eat way more than I should, and now my pants don't fit anymore. Well, maybe I should get a little better at that.
Been there, done that.
Hey, I when I get my paycheck, I spend it all by the next morning, and then 3 days later, I'm wondering how I'm going to pay my house payment. You need to learn more, and you need to get better about that.
Man, that's powerful. Yeah.
He is a mind reader.
It really is. When you delve into how deep you can actually get off of those simple 2 words, it blows my mind every single time. And I often think to myself, like, oh man, I wish that so-and-so would look at my tattoos and tell me like how I need to get better. And then I step back and I'm like, oh, I just need to get better. I know what ways that I'm struggling, and I know when I do struggle. So I need to work on those things in particular. And sure, a new set of eyes on your work is gonna be great, but you still need to get better at whatever it is that you're struggling with. And sometimes that takes a little bit of work, and going out and learning about that subject, or talking to other people about that exact same subject. But you still need to turn around, and at the end of the day, you need to be the one to put the work in to get better.
Man, that my follow-up question to that was going to be, what would you tell this or say to somebody that's getting on the Giants path? And I don't see a better message than that, is just get better. That applies to me too,
Yeah.
Just get better.
Yeah. And it honestly, it rings true in every sense of life, whether you're worrying about your physical health or your mental health or whatever it may be, work-wise, financial-wise, just go and get a little bit better.
I love that. Ryan, what additional thoughts do you have?
Sometimes I think about from the viewer at home that's sitting there listening and going, I don't know, that's still that belief window, right?
The person that's going, what's wrong with these guys?
Yeah, lots of things are wrong. So I hope your belief is really big right now. But
right.
Here's the thing: is that we're part of a group called Get Fit with Giants. Okay, and one area in my life that I wanted to do better in was to get more fit, to just be a little bit better every day. And I watch some of these giant people. Nicole is one of these giants, and she's a friend of yours. And I watch her, and I'm like, holy freaking A, she is killing it every day. Like crap happens in her life, and she still gets like this amazing workout in. And I'm like, oh, like I don't know what to do. I don't know. The truth is, I just need to get a little bit better. Get better. A little bit better every day. And sometimes you fall, like, hey, you slip a little bit. Well, the next day, take an inventory and go, okay, that happened. That life happened. This happened. I'm going to get better today. I'm going to do a little bit more than I did yesterday. I'm going to watch what I put in my mouth. I'm going to get maybe do one sit up, one push up, something more, a little bit more that day than I did the day before. And I think people can do that if you take it in smaller chunks and then work on your belief window. And pretty soon you're doing 20 or 30 or 100 push-ups a day, and you're everything that is more, it's more in your conscious mind of what you're putting in your body or what you're doing. And so I love that. Get better.
That's awesome, man. Clint, what else are you working on right now?
Just working on getting better. I don't mean to touch back into that, but
that's so rad.
I don't really have any other big projects in the works. My wife and I are going for our first hunt next month, and so that's kind of taken over my main focus. I've never hunted in my life, and she has, so she's going to be my adult on that. But learning,
sometimes you need an adult.
Yeah. Learning something new has always been amazing to me, because it's it's a way to really humble you down and realize in every other area of your life, you need to humble back a little bit and realize that you can learn a little bit more. And so I love trying new things, and I'm all about that.
That's perfect. You know, as I hear your journey from the beginning, as we wrap this up, it follows the giant's journey. You know, everything that we talk about in this book, you know, that people should go grab, you know, go to giantsandsmalls.com and grab that. But the whole purpose of that journey is to recognize that there is a path from waking up to, I want something different, to working diligently every day to create it incrementally better than it was yesterday, until you, and you don't ever arrive at becoming a giant. It's more of a case of every day, I want to see how big of a giant I can become. You're already a giant the moment you step on that path. So when you're playing small, you're not even stepping on the path, but your journey highlights how just getting onto that path, wherever you start, is when your giant's journey begins. And then it's incremental improvements from there. It's getting better every day until eventually you're a giant among giants. And that's not even maxing out your potential, because there is no ceiling on this. And so I love that. I was going to check and see if there's one more message here from Nicole. People who get tattooed by Clint leave his shop a little bit better. His radness talks leave people a little bit better. Thank you, Clint, for taking the leap and choosing the giant's path. That's awesome.
That means so much when you hear something like that. She hasn't even been into my shop all that often, but to hear that just that one time made a little bit of impact is huge. And it truly gives way to that thought of even a one-time experience or a little snippet here and there can push so many more lives than you think that it can.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really grateful to have you on this show.
Tattoos are an interesting thing. One more quick thought, Nick.
Yep.
They're a lot of times they're a reminder of something, whether an event or, you know, just maybe a reminder to do something more or to be better, or remembrance of something. A lot of times that's, you know, what a lot of people go get tattoos for. And there's other things that they go get tattoos for, but it's, I look at, you know, some symbols of if you need a symbol, if you need something to remind you to do something more, to be better. I wear my little Mickey's, you know, it leaves little marks on me because it's made of grass, you know, see my little marks. And, but it says giant on it. Nick has some things that on his desk that remind him to be better, to do a little bit more that day. And so what you're doing is awesome. I can see how that would change people's lives. And I think that's a perfect nugget to end on is to remember to be better.
That's perfect. Let's end it right there. You know, if you're watching this show, just take that message, 2 words, imprint it, write it on your mirror, write it on your door somewhere, write it on your neighbor's car with a key.
Go get it tattooed on your lower back.
I'm just kidding. Don't do that one. Please don't. But remember, just get better. And that'll be the message of the show. We appreciate each of you being a part of this. Clint, this is the part where we end the show and we like to hang on for a little bit and just have some after show banter if you're open to it.
Yeah.
But we want to tell those that are watching, thank you. Make it a giant day. Keep being giants in the world. Keep showing people what's possible and keep showing up. You know, it's so important. And each day incrementally improve. And so we'll see you on the next show. Make it a giant day.
Thanks, Clint.
Have a good one.
Okay. So if you're good, man, we'll just hang tight and let's hide that there.
Well, that makes me look bigger. Didn't know I look like this the whole time.
You guys didn't even tell me.
Right?
I now realize I should have put on a hat so you guys couldn't see me there from
there was a comment earlier on. Nicole hit right here. Bald is.
Oh, I didn't know that, Nicole. Sorry, I would
have. It's funny. That was awesome, man. Thank you.
Bunch of bald, bearded dudes. Just
that's all we are.
Hanging out.
If I could grow it back here and up here, I would.
I don't know that I would.
No,
I've gotten my hair started falling out when I was like 15. So
Nice.
I've gotten so accustomed to just being like, oh, I mean, I literally bick my head every third day, like clockwork, and
Saves a lot of money on shampoo.
it does.
Yeah.
Unless you grow a beard, and then you got to do it down
yeah,
here.
and then I have to do it all down here.
When I was about 10 years ago, I was working in my office and my daughter brought in a Ken doll, Barbie doll. And she's all, Dad, I cut his hair to look like yours. And she cut his back of his hair to have a bald spot, like one of those, like one of those monks. I'm like, oh, damn it. It's time to get rid of this.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't know I was that bald on the back.
One of my kids, so like, I used to have hair that came down to about right here. And then it started fading back, and then it got pointier and pointier. And one day, one of my kids, I was leaned over like this, and she said, Dad, lean over again. And I went like that. She goes, it looks like you have bunny ears. Thanks. Kids say the darndest things.
They're the most honest of people.
That's
absolutely cool, man. So this is
when's your next Radness talk? When do you do these?
In 29 minutes.
oh shoot, so we got to go pretty soon.
and no, we're good.
It doesn't matter, Nick, because he prepares 30 seconds before. Not
that's
29
right.
minutes before.
Yeah. I just need 30 seconds and we're good to go. So we do every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. and then every Sunday at usually 10 a.m. We moved it back a little bit so that we could have our time on here. And I was super excited about this, so I wasn't worried about moving that. So we just moved back a half an hour so that we can get some time on there too.
Make sure you thank our viewers and then send them over this direction so they can watch this, because this was a fun one. I liked it, and then we'll promote. We'll promote you that direction.
Yeah.
Hey, there's an honest little one right there too. How's it going?
We're live on Facebook. See all these people watching and saying hi. This is Clint. So he was just a guest on the show.
I'm glad I can't see all the people on my end, because I might have gotten nervous if there was more than like 4 people. We have like 12 people max.
We limit the room size to 4.
Yeah,
we don't want to get too nervous. That's cool. Yeah, man. So let's get people over to your show, Radness Talks. Get them watching that as well.
Yeah. And I ordered a copy of the book too. So whenever that comes in, I'm going to definitely push it on both here and Instagram. Do you guys do any Instagram stuff? I noticed I tried looking anything up on Instagram, but wasn't sure if you guys had anything on there.
We have a page, but it's sparse.
Okay.
We definitely need to work on. See, we'll be better.
Okay.
We're going to be better. We're going to get better in that area right there.
Yeah.
Instagram's less political, so I like it more.
Yeah. Facebook does get political, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I do enjoy, like, both of them have their pluses and their minuses, so I definitely enjoy both of them. And
yeah,
obviously, like, we run our live off of Facebook also, so.
Yeah, regarding the book, we're going to start fulfillment this week, so we're getting all the supplies to get those fulfilled.
And I know a guy, Clint, so I'm gonna go talk to the author, and I'm gonna see if I can get him to put his Herbie Hancock on that thing, sign that bad boy. That's right.
It's going to be worth so much.
That was a Tommy Boy reference too.
Can you send me?
No, that was a Dumb and Dumber reference.
Copy so I can sell it on eBay and pay my house off, and then.
He's not that famous yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah,
we'll get him there.
So we've got to do. So we had 300 books we sold through our Kickstarter campaign.
Nice.
And so we're fulfilling those, and then we got a bunch of orders on the website this week. So we'll get it to you, no doubt. And I'd be happy to do a signed copy. So,
see?
Yeah,
I got you, Clint.
Nice. This is awesome.
I saw into the future too.
Thanks for putting in that good word for me.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's good at that, man.
He's pretty rad, Nick. You're gonna want to do this.
Yeah, I'll do that. I want to come get some tattoo work from you too.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Yeah, I like your style, so I'll come see you.
Yeah.
Well, good guys. I've got to wrap up. Ryan and I've got an 11 o'clock I got to plan 2 hours in advance.
All
For the
right.
11 o'clock, and it's 10:04.
To get ready.
Thank you, guys. It was good to chat and hang out with you guys for sure.
You're welcome, man. Have a
Thanks,
great
buddy.
day. Make
Best
it.
of luck. Thank you, buddy.
See ya.